Okay, so recently one of my videos on TikTok and Instagram went a little viral of how I made this otter nail pet, and so I asked all of my followers on Instagram which animal I should make next, and this one stood out to me because they said a pig, and I had just got myself this new piggy, so I decided to do that. I'm going in with C114 from Rosalind, and this is my favorite base color of all time, and I'm doing French tips on all of the fingers. So since I've decided that I'm going to do like a bunch of the animals that my followers requested or suggested, I'm going to stick with a white French base for everything. So I'm making like just one set for all of the animals, if that makes sense. So instead of making a whole new set for each animal, I'm just going to reuse this set and just switch out the ring finger with the new animals that I make. That way I don't have to keep wasting material and nails and all of that. And I also feel like that would be a cute like order. So if anybody would like to just have a bunch of animals that you could have on your fingers, like different animals, and you want like a bunch of options, like 10 animals that you could switch out every day, let me know, because I would love to do that for somebody. So just like DM me or comment it or message me, whatever. The only con to that idea would be, at least that I can think of, is for the otter nails and like for the original like monkey nails, is for the monkeys they had like little bananas on the other nails, and for the otter I did a shell. And so if I were to do this idea where like you just switch out the ring finger, you wouldn't be able to have like the little accessories to go with the animal, like whatever food they eat or like a toy that they like or something to go on the other nails. And so I was thinking like I could make a little like magnetic charm that you could like just pop on, like switch out whenever you put on another animal. But I don't know how realistic that may be. I know people have done that before, but with like the materials that I have, I don't know how possible it would be. And I don't know how strong it would be, because that's another concern, if the charm would even stay on. Because it would have to be like a really strong magnet for it to not like accidentally get knocked off or something. So I don't know. Let me know what y'all think. Okay, so whenever I do white French tips, I usually do 2 layers of 2 different whites. And this is because the first white that I used, which is C001 from Rosalind, is like a very opaque, crispy white. I love this white. And I only got it in a tiny little bottle, and I think this one, like the brand actually sent me this bottle, so I'm trying to use it very, very sparingly, because resourcefulness. And so because of this, I decided to go over it like with another white that has a lot of products left, which is this blue sky mushroom white color, and it gives it more of like a milky finish instead of like a really bright white. And honestly, I prefer the bright white, but like I said, I'm trying to save it as much as possible. I know another white polish that a lot of people really like is the Beetles white polish, which I've had before, and it also is a super good polish. But I will say the main difference, maybe it's because I've just had that one for a really, really long time where it got to this consistency. Like, I don't know if it was always at this consistency or if it like got there over the years, but it's kind of more like sticky, like it's more thick. I don't know how to explain it. Like whenever I would open the bottle, like there would be like strings of polish because of how like kind of sticky it was. But with the Rosalind one, it's more like glossy and milky and smooth. So I feel like if you're looking for a more white polish for like character art, I feel like the Beatles one would be better. But if you're looking just to like cover a full nail, the Rosalind is good. But I really like the consistency of all the Rosalind polishes. That's why they're like one of my favorite nail brands. But Beetles is still like amazing. I know a lot of people swear by the white Beetles polish. I just haven't used that one in a minute because I ran out of my white, and Rosalind sent me a white polish and Beetles didn't. So like I said, I use what I got. Now, since we're finally getting into the sculpting of the piggy, I'm using this random 3D gel that I got off of Shein. If you're going to get nail products off of Shein, make sure you read the reviews, because I know there's like a lot of gels where it's like not quite 3D like this where you can use your hands. Some of them is like literally just like a thick polish and you need like a brush, like you can't mold it with your hands. So make sure you read the reviews if you want to get stuff off of there. You can see like the name and all the info on this like tray, like not tray, the lid that I'm using. So if you want to get the same one I did, there you go. But I'm starting with the head of the pig, and all I did was just roll out this ball. And I know I'm probably gonna get like a comment or at least some thoughts about this, the fact that I'm not using gloves when I'm touching the gel directly. I know about contact dermatitis, I know about all of that. I have been doing nails since 2020. I started off trying to use gloves, but like it kind of just got in the way. Like it didn't matter what size I got. I did get recommendations of like, I think it was like it might have been nursing gloves, it might have been something else, like some other profession that you would never think to have gloves like that were like more skin tight, that actually fit with your hand. But the ones that I had at the time, and I didn't know about this like when I had first started about the gloves, but the gloves I was using at the time, like it didn't matter what size I would use, it would still like wrinkle up and like kind of get in the way of the polish, and then I get the polish all over the glove, and then it would spread to areas I didn't want on the nail that I wouldn't realize because I wouldn't feel it touching the nail because it wasn't my skin touching it, it was the glove touching it. And so then by the time I noticed, I'd already cured it, and it just messed up the whole design, and etc etc. So like it was just like really in the way. So I was like, okay, you know what, I'm just not gonna use gloves anymore. And so yeah, for 5 years, I have not been using gloves, and I haven't developed any type of allergy or anything like that. And so I'm just gonna continue doing it like that. In case you don't know, there's been some cases where like if you touch gel, especially like if it like cures on you, I think you can develop contact dermatitis, which like basically makes it so that you get an allergic reaction to certain like gels and products. And it's not just like polishes, I believe. I think it's also in like different like to some gloves, in fact, like anything with that gel inside of it, which is quite a bit of products like in your daily life, which like at first I didn't know it was like other products. I thought it was like just polishes, and in that case I was like, boy, I don't care, I do press-ons, like I'm not gonna have gel on me anyways. But someone told me it was like other products too, so I was like, oh, okay, that kind of matters then. But now that rant is out of the way, I also wrote up a circle for the muzzle, and then I plopped it on there and flattened it out and kind of made it into this little bean shape using my tool. And now it's time for me to go in with the ears, and I just rolled up 2 tiny little balls, and I'm putting them on the side of the head, and then I kind of pinch them to make a triangle shape. I'm surprised I actually got the ears first try, because usually it takes me like a couple like tries to get the right size and the right placement. Like I don't know how close to make them, I don't know how far to make them, but I got this one really quickly, so I'm glad about that. And then I went in with my silicone tool and just kind of like blended out the edges to make it blend in more with the head. And I also gave the ears a little indent. Here's a tip: when you're blending it, like kind of roll out the silicone tool instead of just like flattening it into the head like what I was doing in the video. You should also roll out on the edge because it like thins it out more and blends it more. But yeah, I also just used my hand to blend it more because I feel like the warmness of your skin helps make it like melt into it better. And here's me doing little indents just to give it some more depth and make it look like they're actual ears. I also kind of had to blend these out because it looked a little bit too harsh, like just like a random hole in the ear. So yeah, I kind of like blended that one out a bit more too. I could have been a little bit neater with this, but like the detail is so tiny that I didn't worry about it too much. Plus this is for myself. If it was for a client, I would be way more picky about it. But it's for me, so I don't really care that much, and I still think it's cute. Like it still gets the message across. Now it's time to do the cheeks, and once again I have rolled up 2 little balls and I just placed them right on the cheek area. And I considered flattening them out a little bit, but I figured that once I start like blending it, it's just gonna like naturally become like smaller, like more flattened, if that makes sense. So once I placed the balls down, I then went in with my silicone tool and I started blending it the same way that I was trying to blend the ears. Except this time is when I figured out that like the rolling motion helped. And once again, I was using the silicone tool. I was kind of like patting it, like dragging it, rolling it, and also using my finger the same way I did with the ears. And the reason I decided to give it like little chubby cheeks is I'm literally just like copying the stuffed animal piggy that I showed y'all earlier. Because on the otter, I didn't do anything crazy for the cheeks. I don't feel like I would do this for like any other animal, or even the pig. Like if I was just freestyling the pig, if I didn't have a reference, I don't think I would give it these cheeks. But I'm really glad I did, because it just makes it like so much cuter. And like just like I just want to like pinch his little cheeks, like it's so cute. Even though it is like just like a small addition, anything that you can do to give more depth to your 3D design, I'd say go for it. Because like I said, like this is like a really small addition, but I feel like it really does give a lot to the design, and without it, it would just be like way more boring. But literally just like 2 balls, bun into the face, that's it. And it just like gives it like that much cool factor, I guess. So once I added the cheeks, this is how it was looking. And I also showed the back because I had one comment asking me about what the back looked like. So this is how it looks like. Nothing crazy. You can make it neater. I wasn't worried about the back because like I said, this is for myself. It's not for a client. So I'm not too worried about making the back neat or anything. But this one wasn't too bad at all, actually. Now it's time for me to make the little arms and legs that will be wrapping around the nail. And I don't remember what part this was. I guess this is the arm. I think it is. So, oh, yeah. Okay, so, sorry. Whenever I make, like, symmetrical pieces to a 3D design, I will always start by rolling out a cylinder and then cutting it in half. So it's, like, an equal amount for each side. So it doesn't look uneven. So that's what I did for this. And then I put the first ball down, and then I realized that was way too small. I needed way more gel. So I just added the other ball next to it. And that was my first hand, and I kind of made it into like a teardrop shape, and like I tucked it in behind the head, and then I added the second bow on there, and I just tried to like smooth it out, make it look like it was all one thing to begin with, and trying to get it into that teardrop shape. And then I did the same thing with the other side. And like I told y'all, I like to keep it like as symmetrical as possible by doing the whole cylinder method. But since I like messed up the first time, I wasn't able to like do that for this. So I just had to eyeball the amount of product to use. And I think it turned out pretty well. This is how it was looking so far. And I went and did the same exact thing for the legs. I kind of just plopped them on there because I already rolled them out to be the cylinder shape. And I recommend doing this instead because starting off as a ball and then like trying to turn it into a cylinder wasn't the best. This was definitely quicker. This was quicker and easier. And so if you want to make it more teardrop shaped or whatever, then you could go in with your tool and fix it from there. And I wanted to make the bottom feet have hooves like my stuffed animal does, so I just made a little line at the bottom with my silicone tool, and that made it resemble a hoof. Now it's time to make the curly little tail, so I just rolled out this very, very thin cylinder with the gel, and I curled it around to make the little curl that a piggy tail has. It was super duper delicate. It took me a minute to get it on the piggy, but what I had to do, which I do not recommend because of what I said earlier about the contact dermatitis, is I had to put it under the lamp like this with my finger under it. And I only did that for about like 30 seconds until it was hard enough to stay up by itself, and then I put it under for the rest of the seconds like by itself, and it cured just like that, standing up straight like that. And then I cut off the excess because the end was a little bit long, and this is how the tail was looking. Here is also the back so you can see how it looks from there. And now it is finally time to paint everything. I'm going in with Nude Pink from Blue Sky, and this is going to go over the entire pig. I did about 2 layers of this. It would be so nice. Like, I always do 2 layers of every polish I use. Like, it's kind of just habit by now, but also I still need to do it for most of the polishes because they're not completely opaque. If y'all know a polish that, like, doesn't break the bank, that only is, like, a 1 layer kind of polish, please let me know, because I don't know if they exist at this point. Now I'm going in with Pink Glow after I finish doing the 2 layers of the initial pink color, and this is going to go on the nose, on the ears, and on the hooves. I also put some on the cheeks for a little blush. After I cured everything, I also went in and added 2 more dots for the nose. Then using black vinegar from Blue Sky, I'm adding the 2 little dots for the eyes. This is how the nail pet turned out, and this is how the entire set turned out. Now, I do have this set on my website. It is the most recent set that I've posted if you want to purchase it. If you want me to do any other animal, you can just put it in the comments and I'll get to it eventually, or you can request it as a custom set, and you can do that by DMing me or emailing me.